Greetings. This is the Get to Free Press, and I'm George Boston Rhymes. I'm in Lynette, Alabama. And I want to say to the American people that it is indeed a disgrace how CNN, MSNBC, HLN, 60 Minutes, ABC, CBS, and the rest of the crew, how they ignore the black voters in the state of Georgia, the impediments that are put before them. They are suppressing the black vote. And after Democrats vote for the candidate of their choosing, then they remove them from office. So it's amazing how the news media networks ignore people from the state of Florida that were brought up on bogus charges such as the Madison, Florida 9. All these was black, highly respected people in Madison, Florida, without any connective news coverage. That means that the people in Madison don't know what happened to the Quitman 10+2, wherein 12 blacks was brought up on charges, bogus charges, from 119 to 200 bogus charges. And they was, in fact, the governor did remove 2 or 3 of them from office for a year, even before they went to court. And so let me rush through this, and I'm asking you to just Google Georgia newly elected, mistreated black elected officials, and all these videos will come up across the state. But ask yourself, people here in America, why is it that the mainstream news media and the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, the Valdosta Daily Times, and the Thomasville Enterprise, all these newspapers that get various awards from the Associated Press, but they don't report this black news in the black community? This is real, y'all. It's real. And so as a retired military veteran, I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm tired of our sons and daughters putting on the uniform, willing to die for a country that will not even report the news. And they do it so religiously or satanically. They think we all are stupid. They think all the active duty, disabled, retired, military veteran and their parents, they think we are crazy. Or they think our IQ is so low until we live beneath the belly of a snake. Because our children continue to join the armed forces. And they tell us about freedom, justice, equality, your right to vote, freedom of religion, etc., etc., etc. But I'm here to tell you that the areas that I've been covering since 2010, documented, not me talking, it's the troubled communities and elected officials who call the local news media. And it seems as if the news media are in the clique and among the slicks in removing blacks from office. Now, I'm saying this. I'm asking anybody to call me in. And I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to CNN and Al Sharpton. I do not want to talk to Rachel Maddow or any of those people. I just want to provide you with the names and the telephone numbers of these elected officials and black district attorneys who are now in prison on bogus charges. And it is indeed a disgrace. And the white dominated, the white controlled, and the white owned newspapers won't even connect the dots. Let me close by saying this. Ask the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, ask Victor Blackwell and others, Chris Mathis, why have they not connected the dots between what happened to the Madison, Florida 9 and the Quitman 10+2, Meg's Mayor Linda Harris, Camilla Mayor Rufus Davis, Lumpkin Mayor Charles Gibson, and the black overqualified clerk Naya Williams, and from there to move around to Dawson, Georgia, with Christopher Wright and Ask him who shot him 6 times, and why is it that the district attorney and the city manager will not take that case to court when they say the city manager put a $5,000 hit on him, shot 6 times, but he didn't die. And it just came out about a month and a half ago. I got it recorded. Just Google Dawson, Georgia Mayor Christopher Wright, and look at what's going on with him. Move on around to Clayton County and ask yourself, all these places I just called, why is it that no Georgia news media or national news media will connect the dots with any of this research that I have already done? You have people standing by waiting to go to CNN and Victor Blackwell. In fact, Victor Blackwell told me years ago that he was going to look into it. He hasn't done a damn thing. Now, excuse the dam, but there's a lot of water in the dam. And we hope that some of this water can be let out. And I'm talking about the water of truth so the American people will know what's going on. Let me move on. Move from Clayton County to the backside up there with Warrenton, Georgia, with Mayor George Ivey. You got to see what they did to that, brother. And by the way, I don't mention it much, but there is the chief judge under that circuit that banned me forever. I can never be in a courtroom. Let me say again, I can never be in a courtroom again because he banned me from 7 counties in Toom's Judicial Circuit, and I violated no law. I haven't been talking about him much, but I can and I'm going to. Believe me, I am. I'm waiting. I'm saving him because I'm going to be doing a video on 5 judges that you all need to know about. So who have connected the dots on the mayor in Warrenton? Leave Warrenton and come around to Sparta, Georgia, and Hancock County, an all-white Board of Elections board. And up, by the way, while I'm at it, they tell me they burned the courthouse down some years ago to get rid of records. I don't know about that, but I can tell you that they called me and they came to me. I didn't go to them, but I've been there later, but they first came to me, talked about how they asking people for their homeowner property deeds just to register to vote. And thank God for the New York Times, for they did come down and do a story, and some of it was on TV, and you Google it, put New York Times and Sparta and Hancock County voting procedure with the police going around to people's houses. It's all been documented, y'all. But you don't see where CNN or MSNBC, none of these people, or the Senate or the House talking about they care about voting rights. They are apparently telling something that cannot be substantiated by the work that they have done by coming in these communities and ensuring voting rights is real today as it was when the founding fathers, well, they didn't say that first, well, the civil rights, we fought like heaven to get these rights. Okay? Then leave Sparta, come on round to Gordon, Georgia, with Mayor Ann Whippaloo. You just Google Mayor Ann Whippaloo. I don't even want to get into that city, man. I tell you, it's a disgrace what happened there. Finance chair, less than 3,000 people. The late finance chair, Terry Reese, stated on record, I got it recorded, that they had 19 banking accounts, and that he, as a finance chair, didn't know how much money was in these banking accounts, and he don't even know why they have 19 banking accounts in the first place. A little town of 20 miles east of Macon with 19 banking accounts. The finance chair talked about $1.5 million. $1.5 million that could not be accounted for. The GMA, the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, nobody seemed to care about this. And I'm telling you, it is a disgrace. I'm going to close there, I guess. But no, let me go to one more. Leave there and go. Now, I got to get Telfair County with Sheriff Stevenson. Sheriff Stevenson outlined this so beautiful. I may include it in this clip. So beautiful. A white sheriff talked about how they came in big trucks, and you got to just review what they, here again, most of the people was black, not all of them, that they brought up on bogus charges. Let me rush on through this and hit it and quit. Google Telfair County voting irregularity with Sheriff Chris Stevenson. Thank God for a beautiful white brother who don't mind telling the truth. Kudos out to you, my beautiful brother, and your family. Also, leave there and come round to Broxton, Georgia, $750,000 missing. And the district attorney, Sansock, won't even bring that case to court with the help of the judges in that particular judicial system. And I'm telling you, it's a disgrace. Yet and still, District Attorney Sansock and Judge Spivey brought Olivia Coley Pearson up on bogus charges. And I'm telling you, it is a disgrace as well. You got to see the video on that. And they banned me from the courtroom. They wouldn't let no press in there to record the disgraceful treatment that they put on that grandmother. It is indeed a disgrace. And perhaps an individual from Brunswick by the name of Zach said it best. All you got to do is Google Douglas Commissioner Olivia Coley Pearson voting rights and see what they did to that black woman. And no news media that I've called. All this is going on in this. And how can I know about it? But they don't know about it, and they won't publish it. They won't even say boo about it. I'm talking about collectively. I'm not talking about go down and do a little story on Olivia Coley Pearson, but I'm talking about connecting the dot on all of these cities. So people can see just how they don't want black people voting at all. Even the civil rights organizations don't pick it up like they should. Wait a minute, let me rush right on through. From there to Willacoochee, Georgia, the sitting mayor, white mayor, going around paying black folks, according to the NAACP and other the People's Tribunal, not People's Tribunal, the Justice League United and other civil rights organizations talked about one individual going around in a state representative car campaigning to be for the mayor office there in Willacoochee, Georgia. Leaving there, go down to Homerville, Georgia, with Commissioner Witherspoon, who sits on the city council, who don't even have homestead exemption, don't have homestead exemption in Homerville, but he's sitting on city council. But he does have a homestead exemption in the state of Florida and another homestead exemption in Lowndes County, where I reside, but he's holding office in Homerville, where he does not have a domicile. And the county attorney went along with all of this, including the Board of Elections, and that's something, too, you ought to see. Just Google Homerville, voting irregularities, and Mr. Witherspoon, and you got to see this for yourself. And then ask the Atlanta Journal and Constitution, how can a little social media guy, retired military veteran after 20 years, under a 5-year criminal trespass here in Valdosta after the death of Kendrick Johnson, and won't nobody try to remove me from it? It is a disgrace, y'all. And so, although I serve my nation, I'm getting to the point now I'm thinking about burning up my uniform, and I'm thinking about getting on this particular channel, and I'm asking young folk, I'm about to ask young folk not to join the military, because I went, and a lot of other veterans went, and they don't give a damn about you, man. They don't care about you. They won't even respond to you. And then in some cases, you try to stand before your elected officials, and they putting stumbling blocks up where you got to sign in a week before you can address the board. And if you come in from Atlanta and you go to some of these little small towns, and your parents or your grandmama have issues and you want to go and stand before the city, although you're going to be there for a whole week, you miss it by one day. You can't even address the people that you voted in the office. Now, what a disgrace is that? I'm telling y'all done trumped out, man. And pretty soon, the same thing they got going in Russia, the same thing they got in other third world communist nations, gonna be knocking on your door. Let me close on this note, y'all. Ask your news meter, why am I the only one connecting the dots to all these places? And that's not all of them, y'all. That is not all of them. I was also paid to go to New Orleans. I was down there for a week. They paid me to go there to take on other areas across the state. But I don't talk about that much because we saving that for the big enchilada. Look here. Peace be unto you. To get to Free Press, we report what others ignore. And remember, just because I got a little small camera, I don't have the big cameras like everybody else. Remember this. It's not the size of the ship that makes a man seasick, but it's the motion of the ocean, and it's not the depths of the ocean that drowns a man, it's the water. So you stay focused and stop letting people use you like a hat rack and a hairstyle. Bye-bye. We gone.
us what you got from our break.
We're still compiling the specific issues with the assistance. We should have that very soon. I can say that we checked the statewide voter registration system, and the person who voted in his father or grandfather's place, Mr. Heyman, I believe, has never been registered to vote. So Fred Heyman's voted when he wasn't registered to vote through the error or the fault of the election people who apparently mistook him for a family member.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we bind over Fred Hammonds and Linda Cartwright, poll manager, Eddie Johnson, criminal judge, election superintendent, and Telfair County Board of Registrars, and Rebecca Widener. On the chart is set out for them, except with regard to the charge of accepting the elector's ballot without the date of birth, which I recommend be dismissed.
Okay. We got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Mr. Worley seconds. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, and that motion carries. Thank y'all for being here today. Sorry that took so long. Mr. Harvey, do you want us to move on while we're waiting?
I would recommend we do.
Okay. All right, let me...
Closest family circle. Sworn affidavits reveal a sloppy or non-existent investigation aimed only at smearing my family. See attachment number 1, pages 4, 5, 6, and 7, which are sworn affidavits that counter the allegations made against these individuals. I've been a criminal investigator for well over 20 years. I've investigated every crime from shoplifting as a local agency police detective, election fraud as a member of the Secretary of State's investigative division, to war crimes as a criminal investigator working overseas for the United Nations. In every case I've ever investigated, all witnesses and all of those accused were interviewed whenever possible. An investigator should never submit to a prosecutor, or in this case, to this board, an investigative report that reflects solely the uncorroborated allegations of the initial complainant. This is not the former Soviet Union, and this is not Saudi Arabia. The agent assigned to this case had 3 years to interview all the parties related to this case. I was told the agent claimed she couldn't find them. I was told the agent insinuated that many of the individuals mentioned in her report avoided her attempt to interview them. This is simply not the case. These people are honest and forthright in all of their affairs. They are definitely not the felons this investigator has accused them of being. After casually investigating this case for 3 long years, the respondents were notified they were being accused of committing various felonies by Chief Investigator Chris Harvey, and their case will be brought before the board in 30 days. I, as Sheriff of Telfair County, was contacted by several of these little old ladies and gentlemen named in the report. Many of these individuals are some of the dearest and sweetest elders of our community, hard-working, honest, tax-paying citizens who came up through the Great Depression and fought in our wars. Some are still involved in serving their communities in some way. They are proud Georgians who up until this time believed in our system. They believed in our election process. One 92-year-old widower, a World War II veteran, often boasted proudly to his family and friends that he has voted in every election since he was 18 years old. This same gentleman told me that he will never vote again because of this ridiculous accusation against his 65-year-old daughter, a retired school teacher, widow, and loving grandmother who has never had even the slightest encounter with law enforcement. Another, Mr. Henry Carnes, a 75-year-old respondent who is also a pillar of our community, stated in his sworn affidavit, "I doubt I will ever vote again, based on how this investigation has been handled. It's just not worth the hassle. You can see his statement on attachment 1, page 2. As a trained career investigator, and at the request of some of the respondents, I read through the investigative findings regarding this case. I quickly realized that there was absolutely no evidence of criminal intent or fraudulent acts, but what appeared to be only minor errors in filling out the absentee ballot envelopes. I also felt compassion for these senior citizens because most are not physically or financially able to defend themselves before this board. I personally hired a private investigations firm to locate and interview the witnesses in this case and to obtain sworn affidavits from them. I merely provided the investigative firm the names of the respondents and witnesses and a copy of the complaint. Promptly, in the course of 2 afternoons, these witnesses and respondents were interviewed and sworn affidavits were obtained. The private investigation revealed that the first time many of the respondents were notified of these accusations was when they received notice from Chief Chris Harvey less than 30 days before the hearings. It also revealed that at least some of the respondents repeatedly reached out to the investigating agent after her card was left on their door and left messages but never being contacted back. At least one lady, Mrs. Carnes, a 71-year-old lady, see attachment 1, page 3, reported that she recently contacted Chris Harvey directly. The respondents and witnesses in this case obviously did not elude investigators, but instead attempted to reach out to them. There are several factors responsible for any errors that may have been detected by the state's investigator in this case. However, even the slightest insinuation of criminal intent and or fraud is grossly unjustified and not supported by the facts. At best, many of the scenarios described in the investigator's report can be attributed to common errors and innocent mistakes. Mistakes such as poll worker did not check the box that an elector's driver's license was inspected 33 times countywide. Out of 35 ballots cast, that's not bad. Elector did not fill in the blank for the street address, 18 counts countywide. Elector signed their name in the wrong line, 1 count. Poll worker did not check the box that elector was physically disabled, 10 counts. These and similar violations go on and on to equal some 162 counts. I think this board would agree that the fine print regarding the oaths on the absentee ballot is very tiny at 1/16 of an inch. You can see an attached sign. The oath of person assisting elector states that only if the person assisted in marking such elector's absentee ballot are they required to sign the oath. Obviously, the investigator assigned to this case also had trouble reading the fine print, as many of those accused of committing a felony by not signing the oath had not assisted in marking the elector's ballot. They may have assisted in filling out the oath of the elector and are assisted in addressing the envelope properly. But in most cases, signing the oath of a person assisting elector is not required. However, if an investigator were to ask an elderly elector or if anyone helped them fill out their ballot, of course they'll say yes, because in their mind they did have help with their ballot. The help was in filling out the oath and address correctly, and maybe applying postage for it. When the private investigator specified to witnesses using exhibits to demonstrate what is considered assistance with their ballots, they quickly clarified their answers, and not one of the witnesses interviewed thus far has corroborated any of the accusations of wrongdoing. We also had a new and at that time inexperienced registrar who had a lot to learn rather quickly. She was in constant communication with the Secretary of State's office staff as she navigated her first election, nervously trying to do everything just right. I'm sure she probably made a few mistakes, but after this horrible experience, she will probably seek further employment. There is not single element that can support any claim of an elector not freely voting for the candidate of their choice. There's not one single element to support any claim of an eligible voter not being allowed to cast their vote. There's not one single element to support political corruption in our county. I would bet that if the state investigators scrutinized any county election in this state as closely and as for long as they have scrutinized ours, they would find a similar number of these mistakes and probably more. People are not perfect, and temporary employees who may work one election day every few years are bound to err. But as long as they err on the side of not denying a single eligible voter to cast their ballot, we have accomplished our goal as a free democracy. I feel it's very unfortunate that innocent, law-abiding Georgians can be dragged before this board and accused of committing felonies when a fair and competent investigation has not been completed. These matters will forever be a part of the public record, and these good and proud members of our community will forever be shamed and ridiculed for being undeservingly accused of criminal behavior by having their names attached to this report. I am hopeful the members of this board, Secretary Kemp, along with our legislators, will explore measures that might prevent other Georgians from suffering through such an embarrassing ordeal in the future. Best regards. Attached to my letter, you'll find several sworn affidavits that clarify and contradict the information that you've been presented by Investigator Harvey in his report. Sworn affidavit that stand up any court of law anywhere. To give you an analogy of what has happened here is we had a gentleman, we're known for our big deer and world record bass in my part of the state. This gentleman lured an investigation down here with tales of the big game we have. Well, once they came looking for that big game, they didn't find any because the guy was a fraudster. So before going back with an empty sack, they stopped off and bought a few packs of bologna. And that's what you have here is bologna. You can't make big game stew off bologna. I appreciate you all giving me time to address you. It's upsetting to me. We've had so many negative issues surrounding our county historically. We've got new people in office. We're trying to change things because our economic plight is so bad. We don't have much industry. And we'll take the rap for what we do. And we'll punish those that have violated the law. But in this case, I'm telling you, there's nothing here. This was a fishing expedition. When the complaints didn't pan out initially, for whatever reason, they decided to dig until they could find something. All you've got here is a few mistakes. And if you've ever been involved with filling out one of these absentee ballots, I'm sure you've made a mistake too. But I hope the board will consider the evidence that I presented. This case has not been adequately investigated. Witnesses have not been adequately interviewed. This case was strung together. It was sloppily done. And innocent Georgians have been dragged through the mud by being attached to this report as a result of that. And I think that should never happen to any Georgian or anyone in this nation as part of that case. I appreciate your time and any questions you may have of me, I'll be glad to try to answer.
Any questions for the sheriff? No questions. Thank you, Sheriff. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, my name is Linda Floyd. My address, 180 Spalding Drive, Mayville, Georgia. I also received a letter. I didn't understand it, but they said that I assist Mr. Albert McCray and it was May Mack. During that year, for as I can remember, if I assist anyone with their ballot, I would sign my name. I can't remember back in 2012. I just wanted to come and say, if I assist someone, I did sign my name. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Floyd? All right, thank you for being here. Anyone else?
I am hopeful the members of this board, Secretary, along with our legislators, will explore measures that might prevent other Georgians from suffering through such an embarrassing ordeal in the future. Best regards. Attached to my letter, you'll find several sworn affidavits that clarify and contradict the information that you've been presented by Investigator Harvey and his report. Sworn affidavit can stand up in any court of law anywhere. To give you an analogy of what has happened here is we had a gentleman, we're known for our big deer and world record bass in my part of the state. This gentleman lured an investigation down here with tales of the big game we have. Well, once they came looking for that big game, they didn't find any because the guy was a fraudster. So before going back with an empty sack, they stopped off and bought a few packs of bologna. And that's what you have here is bologna. You can't make big game stew off bologna. I appreciate you all giving me the time to address you. It's upsetting to me. We've had so many negative issues surrounding our county historically. We've got new people in office. We're trying to change things because our economic plight is so bad. We don't have much industry. And we'll take the rap for what we do. And we'll punish those that have violated the law. But in this case, I'm telling you, there's nothing here. This was a fish expedition. When the complaints didn't pan out initially, for whatever reason, they decided to dig until they could find something. All you've got here is a few mistakes. And if you've ever been involved with filling out one of these absentee ballots, I'm sure you've made a mistake too. But I hope the board will consider the evidence that I presented. This case has not been adequately investigated. Witnesses have not been adequately interviewed. This case was thrown together. It was sloppily done. And innocent Georgians have been dragged through the mud by being attached to this report as a result of that. And I think that should never happen to any Georgian or anyone in this nation as part of that case. I appreciate your time, and any questions you may have for me, I'm glad to try to answer.
Any questions for the sheriff? No questions. Thank you, Sheriff. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, ma'am.
If I had 100 sheep and one of them got away, I would leave the 99 and go find that one. That's right.
I'm George Boss Duran with the Get To Free Press, and I know many of you all probably wonder why I post these different documents, why I often report what your traditional news media will not, such as Judge Richard Porter III sleeping while ruling in the KJ case, the problems with white attorneys swearing themselves in before they testify in the court of Richard Porter, while Judge Richard Porter just sits, say, and do nothing. Or when I report that the white attorneys speak to Shavine King in ways that are disgraceful, disrespectful, and in my most humbled opinion, should not exist in any court of law here in the United States of America. You probably wonder why I do what I do. When your news media, for whatever reasons, will not publish the beef of what takes place at meetings, at protests, etc., etc., etc. I do it as a retired military veteran, number one. I serve this country, and for me to see how the news media just outrightly ignore the news in the black community is a total disgrace, disgrace, disgrace. I have proven this over and over and over again. If you look and watch my videos, you will find that when President Barack Obama was elected president, I went to Madison, Florida newspapers, no front page coverage. I went to the Thomasville Enterprise newspaper, no front page coverage. I went to the Quitman Free Press, no front page coverage. I went to the Valdosta Daily Times, no picture of the president on the front page. And let me regress back to the Thomasville Enterprise. Instead of putting a picture of President Barack Obama, they use a picture of Mitt Romney. You know, and this is disgraceful for any active duty, disabled, retired, disabled veteran, etc., etc., etc. This is also a negative punch to the parents of our soldiers that serves on foreign battlefields, especially if they are from the black and the white right background or persuasion. And so I'm going to continue to do what I believe the founding fathers of this country believed in, although they did not mean for it to be for black Americans to have the right and freedoms that are granted years later after this country was founded. And so I just want you all to know that on one hand, I understand the news media, why they want to keep you deaf, dumb, and blind to the times and unable to make intelligent decisions based on fact. I understand why they want you to be ignorant. If you go back to the history of Valdosta and Lowndes County, you will find an 1860 disgraceful city charter that read in 2004 until I asked that they take it down. And believe me, your white city councilmen and the mayor, John Freddy, saw nothing wrong with this charter. However, eventually the charter was removed. And I stated before council and before Mayor Freddy that you can ignore it all you want. But I said to them, if you do not remove it, God will allow other mayors, other city councilmen to come forth and that they would remove that disgraceful charter. Eventually, they removed it. Here's what that charter said. I'm talking about in Titletown, USA, with all these professional football players around America and those high school players here in Valdosta and Lowndes County. That charter read that the mayor and council shall pass all proper and necessary laws and ordinances for the control of slaves and free persons of color, and to control, suppress, and abate all nuisances arising from hogs, dogs, horses, and other animals straying at large in Valdosta. As a veteran and as a person who believes in the real Jesus and into the real Muhammad, the real Buddha, and the real whatever your name, who believe in doing what is right, I stood up because it was disrespectful to all mothers that produced the children that fight in these wars. I did not care if Mayor John Freddy did find something wrong with it or not. I could care less about that. He did. He said that this is a part of his culture, part of history, and that it was okay. Some more council members said the same thing, but eventually it was removed. The Valdosta Daily Times, the local TV stations did not give the coverage on the beef, of the fight and the struggle that took place to get that disgraceful charter removed from Valdosta City Hall, leading into the courts on the second floor of City Hall at that time. I did that because if I could put my life on the line during the Vietnam era and be willing to go to foreign nations of the world to die for what they have indoctrinated us to believe, freedom, justice, and equality for all people, then surely I should stand up for my mother, my brother, my family members, and enemies across the street. And so today, this is where I am. This is why I post this document, and this is why I'm going to continue. Because I cannot understand the pastors in Valdosta. I'm not criticizing them, but I really can't understand the pastors. I really cannot understand the people with high levels of education. I cannot understand professional business people. I cannot understand why regular mothers and fathers and attorneys and judges, all these people, they just seem as if though they don't care about what goes on in the courtroom or the fact that we only have one newspaper. Go to West Point, Georgia, a little smaller town. They got at least 3 newspapers. Go to Americus, Georgia, 7 newspapers. I'm talking about this was before and after the computer came out, which is now cutting down on a lot of newspapers. And a lot of the newspapers are going out of business. They're going out of business because they fail to do any investigative reporting and report the real news in our communities. And even more disgraceful is that the people of a good mindset and a good heart, they know something is wrong. But once again, our government have lulled us to sleep to believe that we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to vote. And the right to vote still have not reached black people. Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp have fought voting rights. He is unqualified to be governor. His record as Secretary of State in terms of suppressing the black vote, intimidating black people, then seeing blacks removed from office and tormented in these various cities, and he just said and did nothing, along with Attorney General Sam Olens and others. And we have the record. It has already been published, oh my God, just thousands of times on the internet. And we're going to continue to say, why should black people in particular serve in the armed forces of this nation? Why should they serve after all these many centuries? And still, white America do not see you as full-fledged citizens of this republic. And I am 100% certain that eventually, black people and white right people will wake up to the realities of now. Have a nice day. May God bless you, but truth must be spoken so you can be set free. Without truth, there can be no freedom. Bye-bye. We're gone.
Call him Jesus, Jesus. I call him Jesus in the morning. I call him Jesus when noonday. I call him Jesus, call him Jesus. I call him Jesus in the morning. Call him Jesus when the sun goes I call him Jesus. Jesus. I call him Jesus in the morning. I call him Jesus in the noonday. I call him Jesus. I call him Jesus in the morning. I call him Jesus when the sun goes down. Sometime along this journey, way get dark, the load get heavy. At that time, I have to steal away, look up toward heaven, and I just catch my captain eye, and then I look up and I just call his name. I call him Jesus. I call him Jesus. I call him Jesus. I call him Jesus. In the morning, Jesus. I call him Jesus. Late at night, Jesus. I call him Jesus. When my road get rough, Jesus. I call on him Jesus. When my burden get heavy, Jesus. I call on him Jesus. When everybody done left me, Jesus. I call on him Jesus. When it looking like I can't make it, I call on him. And now I just wonder, is there anybody here tonight ever had to call on him? Is there anybody here ever have to call on him? When the doctor walked away, I want you to tell me, is there anybody here? No, he's a doctor. When the doctor can't work, y'all, anybody here? No, he's a burden bearer. Anybody here? No, he's a way maker. Anybody in the building? No, he's a provider. Anybody here right now? No, he's a doctor. Anybody know he can heal? Anybody know he can heal? Anybody ever call him? Anybody ever call him? Well, do you mind? Do you mind if I call him? Do you mind? Do you mind? Let me call him. Can I call him? Can I call him? Can I call him? For our United States, can I call him? For our soldiers tonight, can I call him? Just for you tonight, can I call him? Can I just go on? Can I go on and call him? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, my Father. I know you've been good. I know you've been good. You brought me over. You pulled me through. If it wasn't for you, don't know what I would do. Anybody here know him? Anybody here know him? Anybody know him? I call him. I call him. I call him. I call him. I call him Jesus. Waymaker. I call him. Been a doctor for me. I thank you, Lord. Brought me over hills and mountains. I want to say thank you. You've been a healer. When medicine wouldn't work, you healed me. I thank you, Lord. Somebody tell him thank you. Somebody tell him thank you. Go on and tell him thank you. Jesus, call him. I call him. I call him. I call him Jesus. In the morning, I call him Jesus. In the noonday, I call him. I call him. I call him Jesus. In the morning. sun go down.
Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation. Wait till the next generation.
That's what they've been saying, you
Wait till the
see.
next generation.
There you'll find your
Wait till
identity.
the next generation.
We're gonna be ready to take a
Wait till
stand
the next generation.
and take control of the life that's in your hands. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the land.
Wait till the next generation.
Apathy's gonna be hard to
Wait till the
find.
next generation.
We're gonna select the things that go into our mind.
Wait till the
Yeah.
next generation.
We're gonna shape our own
Wait
destiny
till the next generation.
and alter the face of history. All along the road, freedom and democracy, gaining moral strength, wisdom and stability. There's gonna be a victory for the common man, a vast awakening all across the land, all across the
Wait
land.
till the next generation.
This I want you to
Wait till the
understand.
next generation.
I ain't gonna,
Wait till the next generation.
cause
This is the next generation, man.
This is the Get To Free Press, and we report what others ignore. This is your First Amendment right to know without whiteouts from a controlled news media whiteout network. And we are located in Valdosta, Georgia, and we are here to inform, educate, and persuade if necessary. Always keep that in mind. Moreover, I want to say to you that as a community, state, nation, and world, we are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And if we are a liar, time will tell. And if we are a racist or a hater, time will tell. And our righteous and holy God already know. So you are only fooling yourselves. Again, the Ghetto Free Press. I'm George Foster Rise.